This is episode 270 of the Super League pod. We accept the charge that someone will complain as the ups and downs of promotion and relegation lead the agenda once more. COVID warnings, COVID testing, and COVID breaches feature in a comprehensive news roundup that also has some stories that help us feel young, or at least not old. We get a new old friend to discuss in the NRL Brit Watch alongside your fan reviews of the action down under, throw in a TV theme tune, a Harley Street scandal, and a trip to the coast, and you've got a full show. So strap in and mask up, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 270 of the Super League pod. This week you have myself, Mark, and we have Alan with us this week. Hello Alan.
Hello everybody, how are we doing?
Yeah, another lots of stuff to talk about week. I'm wondering, like, are we going to get the balance right when we get Super League games back? Is the news cycle going to slow down? Because at the moment, it's kind of like we're getting normal news that we're going to talk about, you know, players moving clubs, players retiring, that sort of stuff. And then we've got all the other kind of weird, this time of life that we're living through news that is there. And the news needs to stop for the games coming back. Because otherwise, we ain't gonna hit 2 hours ish.
I do wonder if the news is kind of is filling the vacuum where you'd be, you know, talking shit about games type.
Possibly
thing,
we're talking more about the news stories than we would. Yeah, you're right. Maybe so. Are you okay?
Yes, I am. Just to let people in on a little secret, I am recording from the Yorkshire coast. I'm on a little break, so we kind of booked it in as a last minute thing. So I was already booked to do the pod, so I thought I'd keep to it. So yes, I'm on a little break.
We're spanning the width of Rugby League land with you on the Yorkshire coast and me almost on the Lancashire coast.
Literally, yes, we are spanning the whole remit.
Excellent stuff. Do you want to tell us someone else who covers the whole area and beyond? Is our wonderful episode sponsor. Do you want to tell our listeners about our sponsor?
Yeah, so this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, Rugby League birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back, and 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout.
Good stuff. Thanks to Rob's Toy Shop for their continued support. So on the show this week, before we get to the news, we'll be talking a little bit more about promotion and relegation, because it was a hot debate topic between me and Sarah last week, and obviously it's something that's continuing to kind of be at the forefront of people's questions about what's going to happen with the restart of the season. It is the one big unknown still. So we've had some views in on that we will share. We did a poll. Then we've got the news, like we sort of said before. There's plenty going on there. And we've got some NRL match reviews. A couple of games were particularly popular with the listeners, so they've got their views in. So it's great. We'll go through all of those. We've even got some match reviews from an SL Rewind game, which we haven't had for a while, so we like those too. I've got a quiz for you, Alan. It's sort of linked to the news around some French players, so
okay.
Keep that in mind. It's not the longest quiz. I must admit,
Good.
I kind of struggled with questions this week at 10 o'clock last night when I forgot to put the fan reviews into the original rundown whilst writing a quiz. So we'll get to that later on too, but we're going to start, before we get into any news, talking about promotion and relegation. So me and Sarah talked about it last week. Obviously the sort of up in the air thing is whether there will be promotion and relegation, in particular between Super League and Championship is the most important part of the question, I suppose. When the season resumes, if the season resumes below the Super League level, it has to be said at this stage still. So I thought we'd reissue a poll that we did earlier in lockdown, and in and around that, we got some comments in from the listeners. Some just organically off the back of last week's show, given me and Sarah came at things from a different starting point around promotion and relegation, in that Sarah's a big fan of it as a sort of institution within the sport, and I'm not as much of a fan of promotion and relegation as a concept overall. And Sarah pulled that out in the conversation we were having as it addresses to this year as well, because we come from those different standpoints. To get to that middle point of agreeing on what's right this year, it always starts at those two different ends of the scale in terms of that basic view. So I think we're going to go through some of those things. I suppose we didn't get your views on it, Alan. So before we go into the poll and stuff like that, what are your views as it stands with promotion and relegation, particularly as you are a fan of a championship club?
I did vote in the poll. I voted to scrap it for this year. But Sarah is right in the sense that I do come at it from a point of view that I don't really like it as a concept, because of the way that it creates a level of uncertainty. And I suppose my kind of level of lack of comfort with it comes because of what a drop it is. It's not the same as going from the Premier League to the Championship in football. The gap is much wider, and
it's almost smaller and wider in the same way, isn't it? Like, the difference between the money you can make in the Premier League versus the money you can make in the Championship in soccer is vast, but the difference between being a Super League club and a Championship club is almost like at the fundamental level of how your club is able to operate. Can it be a full-time club or not?
Yeah, that's the fundamental issue, is that, and you do see this in football, don't you? You see some Championship clubs going, spending above and beyond their means, kind of to try to chase the Premier League dream, and you're seeing that, in the Championship, without mentioning certain chairmen specifically. We all know who these clubs are. At the moment, that's not my club. I really don't think we're chasing that.
At the moment, we'll get to a new story that features your club around the ball later on. That maybe suggests that they're taking a different approach from next year.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, it's this thing. There is this the Championship as a league, particularly when it became extended to 14 teams. It's a league of massive disparities, possibly greater than almost any other level in kind of sport in Britain, I think. The haves and the have-nots. I suppose the only kind of similarity would probably be the Scottish Premiership, really.
Maybe more the spends and the spend-nots, because I don't think many of them have much. Don't think, and that doesn't just apply to Championship clubs. That applies to every rugby league club in this country.
But some people are quite happy to be operating at a Championship level, at a semi-pro level, and some people are pushing beyond that, and that's the meat and drink of the relegation issue, isn't it? On the promotion issue, is that we have this situation where there is, at any one time, 3 to 4 teams in the Championship who are actively pushing towards promotion, and the vast majority of them are not pushing towards promotion. They're happy to be there in many cases. And that didn't change through the middle eight situation either. There were clubs who made the middle eight who had no desire to become Super League teams in the near future. So we can't really solve the problem of promotion and relegation without solving the issue of this dichotomy that you have within the Championship, from my point of view.
Yeah. If we bring it back round to this season,
yes.
Your view, like you said, is to scrap it this year. So we So the question we asked on the poll this week was, given what we currently know about the 2020 season changes, what would you do about promotion and relegation for Super League this season? So the options we gave were scrap it, keep it as normal, although I realised after the poll had been running for about half a day that I'd written keep it was normal because of auto spelling on my phone. No relegation but 1 up and no relegation but 2 up. And they're the same options that we ran in effectively the same survey earlier in the lockdown back in April. The results then in April were 34% to scrap relegation this year, 22% to keep it as normal this year, 18% to have none down but 1 up, and then 27% to have none down but see 2 come up to make it a 14-team Super League next season. So at that stage, it was fairly even across the board, but scrapping it was more popular. The results this time, 3 months down the line and no resolution to the championship season starting, I think is the key part in this, were to scrap it this year, 48% of people voted for. To keep it as normal, 19% voted for that option. No relegation but 1 up proved the least popular again, but this time only 11% of the vote. And then no relegation but 2 up was still fairly popular with 22% of the vote. It was the second most popular option. So in terms of popularity, the order was the same as the first time around, but in terms of changes in kind of, and the amount of votes was about the same as well. Obviously this is a small poll, it's not a canvassing of the whole sport, it's just the people who saw it on the Twitter feed, but the amount of people was about the same, so they are relatively comparable, I think, and clearly the mood has shifted towards it makes more sense for people to scrap it this year, which is what you said you would do. It's what I've said pretty much all along that I would do. Do you understand? Do you think the feelings behind that vote kind of line up with what we've said quite a bit of time as well? Here is promotion and relegation creates a level of instability anyway. We feel, me and you feel, but this season in particular, the idea of not having a financial security for your club going into next season, given all the compromises or concessions that clubs have already and will continue to have to make this year, just feels like the sensible solution for everyone.
Yeah, because just because you think it should be scrapped this year doesn't mean that you're diametrically opposed to promotion and relegation. It may be just none of us are in the position we thought we'd be in when the season started in February. So perhaps for all concerned, it's the least disadvantageous option.
Yeah,
is to keep it as it is for 2020. You can then plan with a little bit more knowledge about what the financial situation will be, and ultimately you can't. Whilst the championship issue is still rumbling on, you almost scrapping it becomes the default motion, because you're securing the 12 teams that are going to be taking part in Super League in 2021, aren't you? You've got you can be certain of that if nothing else, because the championship could very very easily not restart.
Yeah, and if there is no promotion, it almost feels like, why would it restart at this stage with the way things are? But we got some listener comments in, so let's run through some of those. I'll start with Paul Michael Craig at PaulMac_78, our friend from the Gold Coast. He said, I agree it would be unfair to relegate a side this year, but at the same time there should be promotion. A 13-team Super League would mean a bye each week in a Rugby League World Cup year, which would be great for the elite players. As for how to pay for the extra team, with the Toronto Wolfpack not taking a cut of central revenue, surely it should be budgeted for. If not, there is the government loan. It means less home games, but maybe all Super League teams could be guaranteed a home tie in the Cup round of 32, or Magic would be the round of 16. So basically it's suggested a couple of ways to help pacify the Super League clubs there with that. What do you think about that idea of bringing an extra club in and you give that club the money that, in theory, a club might have got next year if Toronto were the team to go down? Because if Toronto go down, the Super League clubs have to share that money out